Today I'm going to deal with a hymn that I actually had several people ask about, and it was Blessed Assurance. I will be using the hymn book, Songs and Hymns of Revival, and in this hymn book, Blessed Assurance is in the key of D major. Here's the questions that I was asked regarding Blessed Assurance. Now, here's what I'm assuming you know as a pianist. One, you understand your chords very well to where you know what notes build what chord. And two, you can analyze those in a hymn very fast. And then next, you're probably at 5-part hymn playing. If I were to categorize what that means, 5-part hymn playing is you can do 3 notes in your right hand with a strong, on the strong beats, meaning your melody note is on top, you're filling the chord underneath, and you can do an octave and some bass walking. You understand those terms right there. If you're not at that point, no problem. I would highly recommend signing up for lessons. I'll talk more about that in a later video, but we do offer a 7-week training for church pianists. Now, let's jump into Blessed Assurance. Okay, first thing I want to address is the awkward timing. If I show you Blessed Assurance is in 9/8 timing. And I actually talked about this last week. If you didn't get to watch the hymn tip video from last week, I would highly recommend going back and watching it. We're going to feel this song in 3 main beats. Because of that, your song director is going to beat in 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, here's the biggest thing for you as a pianist. You have to know the speed at which to start your introduction. If you start it too slowly, oftentimes what will happen is song directors will tend to overcorrect a slow introduction and speed up the song drastically to make it up to the tempo of what they thought should be sung at. When I'm picking tempo and maybe I'm unsure of how fast the song director is gonna go, I will think of how I would speak the words. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Now, obviously on some of those words, I'm not gonna hold out assurance, but I wanna be able to say the words clearly and think about it. So when I'm starting my intro, I would then play the speed at what I would speak. Blessed assurance. And now I've set them up for a clear intro and they know what speed to kind of go at. Some directors may go a tiny bit faster than that, but for the most part, I've clearly set them up. Now, here's the other thing with timing, awkward timing, when you feel like maybe some churches hold things, the song director doesn't quite feel the rhythm as well. Here's the biggest tip I can give you, and I think I said it last week, practice with your song director. There is so much that can be avoided in hymn playing if the song director and the pianist practice. There is nothing wrong with that. You two need to be on the same page, working together to make sure they feel the holds. You understand where there's going to be fermatas, like maybe at the chorus where we do this is my, we might drag it out. So we might do this kind of thing, ending the verse. And they might drag it out. Happens maybe at the next spot, this is mine. They might drag that section out as well. All of that can be discovered if you get with them. As I said last week, I really talked about 9/8, 12/8, 6/8. So obviously we talked about the beats and where they fall. And here's my biggest suggestion for you. You want to make sure that on those beats, you're playing a full chord. And then if the melody is moving in 8th notes, you're going to do single notes or single octave for the melody. So for instance, but single note melody, chord, 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 single note. And I talked about that a lot last week, so I'm not going to go into that anymore. That would be a great start for you to make sure you're full and you're in time. So if you're struggling with timing, you're struggling with that full sound, start with that, get that foundation down, and then we can build. Now let's talk about left hand. One of the big questions I get as a teacher is, what do I do with my left hand in hymn playing? And here's where chord analysis is so important. You understand chords, because basically whatever chord you see, that is what's available for you to do with that left hand. And whatever chord is coming, that is where your left hand is moving towards. So I'm always moving in the direction of the next chord so that I can get to that chord tone rather seamlessly. But I'm also, whatever chord I'm on for whatever length of time, I'm using those chord tones available. So I'm going to use bass outlining and bass walking today as two terms. Bass walking would be walking in a direction towards a chord. Bass outlining would be where I'd outline maybe the chord itself. So on this hymn, as we start off, and let me just give a huge recommendation for pickup measures. When it comes to pickup measures here, this pickup measure says a D major chord. I don't want to start on the 1 of that chord. So here's my D major. The 1 is D, 3 is F sharp, 5 is A. If I start a pickup measure on the 1, when I actually get to my first full measure, which is the 1 chord, all of a sudden it's going to sound like the strong beat happened before. But what I want to do is start on the 5 of that chord in my left hand, which would be A. This is going to build the anticipation for me to go to that 1. I can even walk my way to it. I can jump to it. So now with that in mind, watch what my left hand is going to do. So I have this blessed ashore, and I'm going to walk up. It's still a D major chord, but I'm going to walk up because my next chord is a G chord. It's going to get me there quickly, and then I'm going to walk back down and outline. So I'm finding basic ways to move to the next chord, and then outlining, and I can work my way there. Now watch what happens when I play it with my right hand. And leaping around, and that's kind of what you want to get to. Now once you get to that point, there's some extra things we can do. There's more advanced walking, there's more advanced moving, there are some octave chord patterns you can do, but getting a solid bass is huge for allowing you the freedom to move around and do a little bit more. So that would be where I'd start you at. Now let's talk about some fill-in options. What do we do with the right hand when there's some fill-ins? What else can the right hand do? So you probably caught in that last video where my right hand did kind of a little bit of some melody changes, like for instance. Now I can do something like this. Now a little bit more advanced, but I have that melody. I kind of skipped over the melody to beat 2 and worked my way to the melody of beat 1. Now that works because my strong beat is beat 1, so I'm in the chord still. Now here's some things to do on the dotted half notes, because these are places where you definitely need to do some sort of fill-in. So maybe you're at this point pretty solid bass and you can get that full chord. Well, now what do? Well, here's a quick echo chord. Whatever chord I'm playing, I'm going to go up and duplicate that exact inversion. So my right hand is playing a second inversion D major chord. I'm going to go up with both hands and play that exact inversion. Same idea here. Root position A major chord. I'm echoing it. Here we have a little bit more advanced. My walking scales and also some outlining. Here's something else you can do. for a brief period and jumping back down, move along. Now you'll see a lot of motion in my more advanced playing on this, where I will do something like, watch my right hand. So I'll play the chord and roll the chord for you. Now when you get to the chorus, now when I have these longer holds, I can go up an octave and repeat it and work my way up the octave. Like this, I'll do a lot of arpeggiated work, whether it's one octave, whether it's two. I'll do a lot of scale work to connect to the next section of what I want to do. And hopefully these are some great tips for you to take, kind of build your idea of how you want to create this hymn. But again, there's always places to start. And I would highly recommend, as a hymn pianist, it would be better for you, even if you would classify yourself as advanced, when you have a hymn that you're struggling on, it'd be better for you to pull out all the extras, clean it up, get it solid, and then gradually build from there. It's hard to build on a sloppy canvas. So if it's already sloppy, take things away to make it clean, and then build on that. And then as you build, add in things that would make it still clean and solid, but a little bit extra.